If you are new to my channel and you love love, like I love genuine love, then subscribe and join the family, all right? If you are not, welcome back. Thank you for the love and the support. I appreciate you. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 lock care tips that have helped me along my journey. I've been locked now for 7 years. August of this year makes 8 years. Not only has it helped me, but these are things that I've learned along the way. Now, if you are just starting out your locks or you're thinking about starting your locks, even if you are as far as I am in your lock journey, and stay plugged in, and maybe something you might just learn that can help you, all right? So my number one, or tip number one, is to protect your energy. Do not let any and everyone in your locks. I personally think it is an honor to allow people in my space just because of how sacred and how divine I truly believe that I am. So if you are on that frequency, or if you are rising up to that frequency, then this is a tip you may want to write down and just bear in the back of your subconscious mind for a little while. All right, tip number one, protect your energy. Do not allow any and everyone in your hair. Tip number two, that looks awkward. Tip number two is to trim your ends often. All right, I generally trim my ends twice a year. So that's either at the start of the year, the middle, or the end. I will alternate. At the end of the day or at the end of the year, my ends are always trimmed 2 times. The amount, I normally trim off about this much. That is my personal preference. Sometimes less. It also depends on how I've been caring for my hair throughout the year. But I found that trimming my ends, one, it helps me to remove a lot of lint from the hair. So I trim it, sometimes brush it out, sometimes pull it with a tweezer. I don't advise to do those things. Brushing, yes, brushing is safe. That's another tip I'll talk about. But trimming your ends is tip number 2. Tip number 3, be cautious of the clothing you wear, all right? The clothing you wear, depending on the material of your blouse, your sweater, whatever, can rub and cause lint, particularly in the back of your hair. I'm still struggling with that. I have even lost length because of that. Be cautious of the clothes you wear. If you like to wear those woolly sweaters, those sweaters that rub and leave lint on things, tie your hair up, okay? Put your hair in a protective bun, put it in a wrap, a scarf, something, something to protect it from getting the lint. Trust me, whether or not it goes with your outfit, you will be appreciative of that in the long run. It's a hassle to have lint in your hair. It's just stress, okay, that you don't want, trust me. Tip number 4 is to wear satin bonnets or satin scarves, a satin head wrap. I have one, I'll show you. All right. So here is a satin bonnet. I have 2 of these. The other one is a different pattern and color. This one is lined inside with satin, so I wear this one to bed, and I like it because it fits everything in my locks, and it's real satin. And I got it from a Black-owned company, woman-owned, Black-owned. So satin bonnet, get yourself one of these if you don't have one already and you have dreadlocks, or you are starting out your locks or thinking to start them out. Consider these, okay? This is a really good investment. Also, satin lined, I want to say headscarf, a satin lined headscarf. Okay, this side is not the same material. This one, I'm sure, I hope you can see, is more shiny. I like to wear this on the front of my hair. I do wrap my hair a lot in scarves, head wraps, kentes. I love wrapping my hair. So I usually wear this as a protector from the scarf that I'm putting on top, simply because I don't want too much rubbing, too much friction, too much frizziness. I don't want any breakage to happen. So I use this to protect my hair when I'm wrapping it. And this is also another one I like to put on. This one is not, it's not as high quality as this material, but I like to wear this at night when I just gave myself a fresh retwist, or I have a hairstyle. I'll put this one on depending on the style, and I'll put this on top, All right, so get yourself a satin bonnet, satin scarf, or a satin do-rag, okay? That is tip number 4. Tip number 5 is to find yourself a trusted, knowledgeable, and a high or good energetic loctician, all right? The reason I say that is because they can be the determining factor, and I talked about this in my first video, or to do the equivalent exquisite detailed research on starting your locks, on Loc Care, on products. And I don't just mean the general the general knowledge and understanding of having locks. I mean down to a science. If you're not someone who likes to do research like that, if you're not someone who likes to read like that, if you just want to get the locks for style, that's fine. That's, it's entirely up to you. It's your hair, it's your life. Do you, okay? But in my personal opinion, and that's something that has helped me along my journey, was me getting a loctician who is very knowledgeable in her niche, in her area of expertise, and that really helped me save my locks. I talked about this in my first video. It is super helpful to have a loctician to help you care for your hair, or even someone who can help you to educate you on how to better take care of your hair by yourself, because it's your hair, it's your commitment. The last thing you want to do is start this journey like I did. I was completely unaware of how to care for my locks. I made a lot of mistakes. With caring for my locks. I developed an insane amount of lint, all right? I used the wrong products. That didn't help. It just caused a lot of buildup. So yes, getting yourself a loctician is super helpful, all right? Look into that. Whether or not you've already started your locks, or if you're considering to start your locks, either way, it will help, all right? Do not be afraid to accept the help. So tip number 6 is understand that dreadlocks do not require the exact same products you use in your free hair or your loose hair. Reason being is because dreadlocks are basically knots of hair together, all right? These are just hair, it's just hair knotting over and over and over and over within itself and around itself. Now, I go ahead and use a beeswax, for example. That is a product I did use when I just started out my locks. It's not necessary, all right? Don't use that. And I would not recommend that to be used in dreadlocks at all, because all it does is cause a crazy amount of buildup, a very gross feeling in your hair. In my personal opinion and in my personal experience, it wasn't helpful. It did more harm than it did good. When I had used beeswax to retwist my roots, it caused clogging of my pores, so it's a lot of itching, which it doesn't do any good for your nails, because beeswax is real black. And it also caused buildup in my locks, okay? I don't need beeswax. I didn't need beeswax. I don't use beeswax, obviously, anymore. 7 years later, I learned my lesson real hard. So take my mistake as a tip for you, okay? All right, so another thing I would like to have you all note down in regards to the products you use in your free hair that you don't necessarily need for dreadlocks is the method in which you use to deliver a certain benefit or component to your hair care. So very simply, an example would be hydration. So if in your free hair you used conditioner to seal in hydration, which a lot of people do, know that with dreadlocks you don't necessarily need that. And I personally don't use conditioner because of the buildup effect that it has in dreadlocks. I've had experiences with conditioner where I would use it, do a deep conditioner, or simply just a leave-in conditioner, and go back to wash it, squeeze it, and literally there's just gunk in my hair, just gross stuff coming out of my locks. And I don't like that. I did not like that, so I don't use conditioners or beeswaxes or gels for that very reason. If you feel differently or you feel otherwise, if you are someone who already has dreadlocks, then by all means continue to use it. It's your hair, your life, your commitment. If you are someone who is thinking to start locks, or you just started your dreadlocks, then feel free to take it as a tip or just as another perspective, right? We all have different paths in life, and that's something that I didn't like. Tip number 7 would be to air dry your hair thoroughly, all right? And it's important to do this because the locks at the back, the ones that are layered at the bottom, don't always get air because everything sits on top. I'm sure you can see everything just sits on top of the back. Now, I've had the experience, I wasn't exactly sure what was causing this problem for me just until very recently, actually. Excuse me. Just recently, around the time I had my daughter, I was wondering, what the heck is this smell? Why does my hair smell like this? Why does my hair even smell? I don't use product in my hair. So I realized that when I was washing my hair, mostly at nighttime, because that's when my daughter is sleeping, I wasn't always air drying it properly. I wasn't doing it thoroughly. So the locks at the back were staying wet, and I don't know what might have been growing inside of them. Maybe mold, maybe some bacteria, not exactly sure. But I figured that because they were not being dried properly, they were starting to develop a smell. So I just started to shake my head, you know, after it's washed, I'll shake it around, hang it upside down for a bit, you know, play with it so that it dries properly. So air dry your hair properly to prevent any smells or any mold, any bacteria. I don't know what it was. I didn't get it checked out. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're still in February of 2021. I haven't even seen my Loctition for this very reason. Ooh, I haven't seen my Loctition and I would really like to. Anyways, that is my tip number 7. Air dry your hair thoroughly, all right? Tip number 8 would be to brush your locks. Let me show you the brush. Now I use a medium bristled brush. I don't remember if this is a real boar brush or if it was synthetic, but this is what I use to brush my locks. I brush it about once or twice a month, sometimes more. It depends on the clothing I wear. It depends on how much dust is in the atmosphere in my home, or if I wear my hair outside, how much dust flies around. You just, you know, do your best to be cautious of that, to be aware of that, because naturally there's dirt outside, naturally there's dust outside and inside your home. So if you're walking around with your hair all free and feeling like a goddess like I do, then you know what I'm talking about. So brush your locks. It helps to get the dirt and dust out of it that may just be sitting on top of the surface before it actually wedges inside of your locks, inside the knots. Tip number 9 would be to let them be. Very simply, let your hair live, all right? Your hair is a natural living thing. Allow it to grow as it grows. If you are someone who does not mind the semi-freeform look, if you are someone who wants to have it completely manicured like the way they do it in the salons, then this tip may not be for you. I found it to be helpful to just let my hair grow, allow it to be, allow your locks to grow without overly manipulating them in any way. Doing your retwist is fine, you know, do your retwist. If you're interlocking it, hand twisting, whatever, palm rolling, whatever your method is, do what you do, but do not over manipulate them to try and have each strand look a certain way if you are not qualified or skilled in that area. Allow a loctician, a professional, to do that for you. You may very well regret that, okay? I've had my fair share of that. Sometimes I would just cut the whole lock off, and you might not want to do that. So let them be. That is a part of the flourishing and nourishing of dreadlocks, is just having them be its own thing, having them do its own thing. Remember, in the same way that we are our best selves when we are not manipulated, all right, is the same way your hair will be its best looking and feeling self when they're not overly manipulated. Trial and error is natural, it's normal, it's fine, but it's important and it's helpful to seek insight from those who are more experienced in a certain field or area or thing that you are interested in getting into. And my final tip, tip number 10, would be to show your locks some love and some care, all right? Your hair is a natural living thing, just like you are a natural living thing. So show both your hair and yourself some love and some care. Thank you all for sticking it out to the end. I hope you found some of these tips very helpful for you. If you have, give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't, give this video a thumbs up, because we love love. All right, thank you for being here. If you have any questions of things you'd like me to cover or talk about, or give you my personal experience and insight on when it comes to Loc Care, then drop some questions in the comment box and let me know what you think, what you may want me to talk about going forward, and stay tuned for my next video.